No, you know, I've looked at moving because I'd like to keep more of my money too. And
where should Maher move? How many people moved out of your state, California?
Oh, I know. No,
under Newsom?
Yeah, no. People do move. There's no doubt about that. People move in America, and you're right.
No, but they're not moving because they want a better view. They like to keep more of their money that they earn.
True. Yeah, you know, that's true.
Florida is a really good case study. So when DeSantis became governor, there were 250,000 more registered Democrats in Florida when he became governor 8 years ago. Now there's 1.4 million more registered Republicans in Florida. That's all migration from COVID and re-registration from COVID, 100%. Right. So it absolutely is happening.
Bill Maher is unloading on the left for wrecking cities that once reliably voted blue. The comedian argues the left ditched these cities to chase the radical fringe, doing so while voters feel ignored, unsafe, broke, and furious. That gamble is political self-destruction, risking the DNC's future in American politics. As always, smash the like button if you're into sharp political commentary, and let's dive straight into it.
I read that the current mayor of Chicago has an approval rating of 6.6%.
Round it up, 7.
But, I mean, you were just the ambassador to Japan. If that was your approval rating in Japan, they would do Hira on the live TV.
They would do it at 27.
I mean, what's going on in Chicago as the person?
Look, I mean, we were talking about this a little earlier. I mean, you have also the mayor of New York not doing well. Obviously, other things also here in Los Angeles not doing well, the mayor here. Look, and then you got mayors like the mayor of San Francisco and other cities that are doing well. So I would say, look, there is a general rule. I had this when I was mayor. Safe streets, strong schools, stable finances. Focus on those 3 things and your city's going to be fine.
Rahm Emanuel opens by laying out exactly why he believes the mayor of Chicago is sitting at a disastrous 6.6% approval rating. And in his view, it's not complicated. It comes down to 3 things voters feel every single day: public safety, financial instability, and failing schools. Chicago residents are dealing with rising crime, budget chaos, and an education system that continues to disappoint, yet they see little urgency or focus from City Hall. Emanuel argues that leadership isn't about grand rhetoric or ideological signaling. It's about fixing what's broken right in front of people. Instead, Chicagoans feel ignored while their quality of life declines. The frustration isn't abstract, it's personal. Parents worry about their kids' schools, workers worry about safety on their commute, and taxpayers worry about where their money is going. According to Emanuel, the mayor's problem isn't messaging, it's priorities. And voters are making it painfully clear they've had enough.
We've gone through 5 years where people became way too permissive of the culture. They were all, which is why everything's locked up at Walgreens and CVS, and that is a disaster.
Yeah.
And our school, and I'll say this about our schools: I don't want to hear another word about the locker room. I don't want to hear another word about the bathroom. You better start focusing on the classroom.
I agree.
We had the worst reading scores for 8th graders in 30 years. And nobody, not a governor, not a mayor, not a president, not a secretary of education is talking about it. We're all wrapped up. Look, in 7th grade, if I known that I could have said the word they and got in the girls' bathroom, I would have done it. Okay, we literally are a superpower. We're facing off against China with 1.4 billion people, and 2/3 of our children can't read 8th grade level. So no more about the lot. Wait a second, I'm on a roll for a second.
Rahm is right, and this is where the frustration really sets in. Our public school system is clearly failing, yet instead of confronting collapsing standards, poor outcomes, and classrooms in crisis, the national conversation was hijacked by debates over locker rooms and bathrooms. While parents were asking why their kids couldn't read, write, or compete, leadership was busy chasing cultural flashpoints that affect a tiny fraction of students. Rahm's point is painfully simple. We allowed fringe arguments to dominate the discourse while abandoning what actually matters: our children's education. Schools should be about learning, safety, and opportunity, not ideological battlegrounds. And it's impossible to ignore who led the charge in these debates. The Democratic Party placed itself at the forefront, prioritizing symbolic victories over practical solutions. The result? Parents feel unheard, students are left behind, and trust in leadership continues to collapse. This isn't just a political failure, it's a generational one.
to be fair, this is actually...
I was being fair.
No, this is a huge Democratic Party problem. If you look at Democratic cities, they are terribly run. They have incredibly high taxes. It is impossible to build, so the cost of housing... Let me finish, I give you a chance. The cost of housing is crazy in places like New York and Chicago. If you look at Democratic states, you go look at New York versus Florida, okay? Roughly the same population. The budget of New York State is twice that of Florida. What do they have? Streets paved with gold? I live in New York. I pay the highest taxes in New York. You get nothing for it. And I think that is the image people have of the Democratic Party.
Fareed Zakaria isn't wrong, and more people are starting to admit it out loud. Across the country, Democratic leadership appears to be running once thriving cities into the ground. Residents are being squeezed by crushing taxes, strangled by layers of red tape, and left feeling exposed as public safety deteriorates. Small businesses struggle to survive, middle-class families feel punished for staying, and basic city services feel slower and less reliable. When people can't afford to live where they work and don't feel safe walking their own streets, they vote with their feet. That's why we're seeing a steady exodus from deep blue cities to places that promise something simpler: lower taxes, fewer bureaucratic hurdles, and a stronger commitment to law and order. This migration isn't driven by ideology alone. It's driven by quality of life. People want cities that work, not cities that lecture them while failing to deliver the basics.
Lots of taxes, lots of regulation, but nothing gets done.
Hey,
and I think
I live in LA.
Right. No, Fareed, and I think, listen, if the Democrats have to own this and realize the answer to everything is not more taxes, more regulation. People are fed up of that, and they feel that it isn't working.
The Democrats, look, as somebody who produced the best graduation growth in the country, and we changed our high school.
You were a good mayor. I agree.
No, that's not the point. The point was we changed, but I'll take that. The point isn't the rules. The point is the results. And the party has gotten way too focused on what the rules are. And I do agree with you on this. We have made it impossible to function as a city or as a state.
Far too long, Democrats have been obsessed with rules while caring far less about results. Their instinct is to regulate everything, from public discourse and policy debates to how many permits you need just to fix a roof. Bureaucracy isn't just bloated, it's suffocating. Everyday tasks that should take hours drag on for weeks or months, buried under paperwork, approvals, and endless reviews. Small businesses feel it the hardest, but homeowners and workers feel it too. Want to renovate, expand, or build? Get ready to wait. The system moves at a glacial pace, and no one seems accountable when it stalls. Instead of asking whether policies actually work, leadership keeps adding more layers, more rules, and more agencies. The result is paralysis. Cities don't feel governed, they feel trapped. People aren't asking for chaos, they're asking for competence. And when government becomes an obstacle instead of a service, frustration is inevitable.
Take an example of this example. Here obviously in LA, it took a fire and a natural disaster to make you realize, you know what, that rule's not that important. In Pennsylvania, a bridge collapsed. All of a sudden we go, well, that environmental rule is just not important. We got to build a bridge. It's much more important. And I think the Democratic Party should take a look at it and say, we're going to be honest, like we did in 1994 with reinventing government. Everything is on the table. Nothing is safe. And we can just look at it and say, that's essential. Those two things get out of here. And that doesn't happen. And that's a fair...
Ram is right, and if the DNC wants to rebuild trust in its own cities, it needs a serious reckoning with overregulation. That means taking a hard look at rules that add little value and scrapping them, starting with places like Los Angeles. The city's taxes are sky high, yet residents struggle to see what they're actually getting in return. Infrastructure projects drag on, housing initiatives stall, and costs balloon, all because of endless paperwork, approvals, and permit delays. In California, it's not uncommon for major projects to sit frozen for years, not due to a lack of funding or vision, but because bureaucracy refuses to move. This isn't progressive governance, it's paralysis. Voters don't want slogans or studies, they want visible results. If Democrats want to prove they can still run cities effectively, they must prioritize speed, efficiency, and accountability. Cut the red tape, deliver outcomes, and earn back credibility where it matters most.
Do you think that Mamdani's election will lead more financial organizations to leave New York City for Wall Street South in Florida? Tell me, I've read that term just recently, Wall Street South, Florida. This is your state. What is that?
A lot of Wall Street guys have moved to Palm Beach. It's been happening really since COVID. It's accelerated with increases in taxes. It's not just out of New York. It's New Jersey, Connecticut, it's Chicago, it's California.
So they're fleeing high tax blue states for Florida.
And none of this should come as a surprise. Over the past few years, we've watched a steady stream of high-profile individuals and major companies pack up and leave states like California and New York. These aren't random moves or coincidences. They're calculated exits driven by frustration with Democratic leadership. Business owners cite punishing taxes, suffocating regulations, and an increasingly hostile environment for growth. Residents point to declining public safety, crumbling infrastructure, and a rising cost of living with little to show for it. Many of these people didn't want to leave. These were their home states, places they loved and helped build. But they feel those cities and states are being slowly hollowed out by political decisions that prioritize ideology over practicality. When opportunity, safety, and affordability vanish, loyalty only goes so far. The exodus is a warning sign, not a talking point, and ignoring it only accelerates the decline.
This is the luckiest guy in the world that Mandani got elected, because his district is going to explode. My house, I live 8 miles outside of Queens, has gone up 20% in value since Mandani announced. Okay?
Because
people aren't going to pay the punishing taxes. New York is the highest tax state in the union.
But you said your house value's gone up.
Yeah, because they're moving to Nassau County.
Oh, they're moving out of the city.
Out of the city, and they can still take the train back in the city and not pay the millionaire's tax or whatever crazy thing this guy wants. But what people don't understand is he can't raise the taxes unless the state okays it.
New York's political direction is already sending shockwaves through the city, with Zohran Mamdani emerging as a leading figure in the mayoral race. Many residents and business owners are heading for the exits. The concern isn't theoretical, it's financial. Mamdani's push for a so-called millionaire's tax has set off alarms among high earners and investors who feel they're being singled out yet again. These are people who already shoulder a massive tax burden, and many see this proposal as punitive rather than productive. To them, it's not about fairness, it's about discouraging success and choking off growth. Critics argue that instead of fixing crime, housing, or basic services, leadership is reaching for easy political wins by squeezing a shrinking tax base. The fear is simple: higher taxes will drive out capital, talent, and jobs, leaving the city poorer, weaker, and more dependent. For many, leaving now feels like self-preservation.
They don't understand that. They don't know what seizing the means of production is, but Ken Griffith does. He's the big Wall Street titan. He knows what it is, and that's why he's down in Palm Beach.
We'll see if they move. I mean, you saw Bill.
They're going to move. They're already moving.
Hold on, Bill Ackman.
No, they're not.
Hold on.
People say they're going to move all the time after elections. They don't do it.
Bill Ackman said he was going to move.
You know how many people moved out of New York City in the last 3 years? 600,000. They're moving.
Yeah, they're moving.
I don't understand why Maher refuses to acknowledge the obvious. People are leaving blue cities and states in large numbers, citing poor governance as a major reason. This isn't speculation, it's happening in real time. Countless individuals, including high-profile figures like Joe Rogan and other celebrities, have packed up and left California citing the same frustrations: crushing taxes, bloated bureaucracy, rising crime, and declining quality of life. It's not just celebrities either. Major companies and corporations are relocating or scaling back operations to escape the heavy tax burden and stifling regulations. Jobs, investment, and economic growth are leaving alongside them, creating a vicious cycle that further erodes these cities' prosperity. Yet, some commentators, Maher included, seem determined to ignore this migration, treating it as isolated anecdotes rather than a clear pattern. The pattern is becoming increasingly hard to ignore. When governance fails, people vote with their feet, and blue cities feel the consequences.
How many people moved out of your state, California?
Oh, I know. No,
Under Newsom?
Yeah, no. People do move. There's no doubt about that. People move in America, and you're right.
No, but they're not moving because they want a better view. They like to keep more of their money that they earn.
Yeah, that's true.
Look, Florida is a really good case study. So when DeSantis became governor, there were 250,000 more registered Democrats in Florida when he became governor 8 years ago. Now there's 1.4 million more registered Republicans in Florida. That's all migration from COVID and re-registration from COVID, 100%. Right. So it absolutely is happening.
Across the country, a pattern is emerging that can no longer be ignored. From Chicago to Los Angeles, New York to San Francisco, blue cities once seen as engines of culture, innovation, and opportunity are now struggling under Democratic leadership. High taxes, crushing bureaucracy, failing schools, rising crime, and stifling regulations have created an environment where residents and businesses feel trapped, unheard, and unprotected. Rahm Emanuel, Fareed Zakaria, and countless critics are pointing to the same conclusion. When leadership prioritizes ideology, rules, and symbolic gestures over practical solutions, cities suffer and voters notice. Parents worry about their children's education, workers fear for their safety, and entrepreneurs pack up and leave, seeking stability and opportunity elsewhere. Celebrities, corporations, and ordinary families alike are abandoning these areas, proving that governance matters far more than slogans. If the Democratic Party hopes to reverse this trend and regain trust, it must cut the red tape, lower taxes, focus on results, and deliver services that actually improve daily life. Otherwise, the exodus will continue, and once great cities may never fully recover. The message is clear: people leave when leadership fails. And on this note, we draw the curtains on today's video. If you enjoyed it, then hit the like button and subscribe to this channel for more videos like this. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.